Alright guys, so this is the bearing hose we're going to be making up for that supports the worm. It's a fairly straightforward turning job, nothing real fancy in this. I've got to put on the OD on that, it's 96mm, so a little bit of milling. We've got to cut the slot for the anchor for the motor adjuster. But other than that, this is going to be fairly straightforward. I do have to remember the orientation of these holes compared to the slot, because as you know, I did make a little boo-boo on the housing. And I put them 30 degrees out of sync, so I'm just going to make sure that I reorientate that slot to suit where I've actually put those tapped holes in the housing. Just the bearing cup registers up inside. As I said, fairly straightforward. We've got an oil filler and we've got an oil leveler. This is going to have its own little independent oil supply. It's going to be separately sealed from the main gearbox. And this is the stock we're going to be using to make it up out of. This is stock that I got from my scrap hose again. This is probably down to about 200mm. I got this. It was about 1.5 meters. It had been hacked off with an oxy cutter when I got it, and it's always had this smoothed out scoop in here. Whether there was what it was being used for, it developed a crack, or there was a problem with the machining, and it's a non-critical part of the shaft, and yeah, it's just had this little spot here just buffed out. So I've used a lot of this over the years, and yeah, as you can see, not much left. So this is the stock we're going to be using. As I said, that the cleanup is 96. And we've got an OD of about 98, so we've got a couple of mil to play with, which is beaut. So I'll set that up in the bandsaw, and we'll cut that to length plus a few millimeters for cleanup, and we'll get to machining. Righto, so we're cutting that stock off at about 83-84mm, and as I've said in the past, I've refurbished this bandsaw, and it cuts spot on the square now, so I can cut pretty close to the thin sizes, and know that it's going to be able to machine up. So we'll let that do its thing, and then we'll come back into the workshop, and we'll set up and start our roughing out process. Right, we've got our stock centered up in the lathe on the 4-jaw, just roughly. So my plan is I'm holding this side here in the 4-jaw. I'm going to rough this side here out. So I've got to make sure I allow at least 50mm, 53, 54mm to be able to clean up that OD. Then I'll cut and I'll bore. And once again, all we're going to be doing is roughing it out. Then I'll turn it round. We'll do the machining on here. Get that roughed out, then flip it back, and then we'll start the final machining process on this once we've got this roughed out. So we'll rough it out about 1mm oversize all over, and then we'll come back and finish it out. Alright, we'll get back to the lathe. Nice to be finishing milling. Nice to be out of that for a little while and do something different. So we'll set the camera up, and we'll make a start. Righto. It's just a bit of gnarly steel at the moment. This is probably a 1045. It's not a chrome molly steel in any way. I've done, as I said, I had about 1.5 meters of this that I've used over the years, and machined it into various bits and pieces. So I'm comfortable that it's just a medium carbon steel. So the machine's quite nicely. Alright, we'll start that roughing out process anyway. We'll get the OD to within 1mm, then we'll start doing all the steps. We'll just do our roughing out, measuring with the just with the calipers. So that's at 97, so I'll continue that through. I'll continue roughing this out and bring you back in stages as we work our way through it. So we'll get this side roughed out and we'll come back very shortly. Alright, we'll bring you in for the last couple of roughing cuts. A little bit noisy with the high feed on that, but anyway, so we're down to about 71.4. And we're aiming for 67. Right, knock the burrs off that, and then we'll come back and rough the bore out next, and then we'll flip it over and rough the other side out, and then we'll come back to finishing. All right, when we're getting close to getting that bored up, we'll bring you back. Right, finished size on the smallest bore internally is 40mm, and unfortunately my next size drill up from this 30mm is a 40mm, so I've got nothing in between. So we'll take it out, we'll drill it out with a 30, and then we'll bore back to size. Well, we'll rough it out to size anyway, and then we'll be ready to flip it over. Right, can't get the full straight on this tailstock, so we'll come back, readjust, and go again. Right, we'll set up and we'll get that board out, and we'll let things cool off a little bit, then we'll flip it over, because that's going to be rather hot. Yes. Alright, we'll bring you back when we're getting close to getting our roughing bore finished, and I'll get set up to flip it over. Righto, another couple of cuts to rough this out, and we're just about there with that. Do a quick check on that before we get too carried away. Yeah, 38.7ish, so I'll give us a minute to clean up. nice finish. Just for roughing out, that's pretty hot at the moment, but we'll deburr that, we'll flip it over, I'll re-clock it up again, and then we'll start machining the nose of this, roughing that out next. All right. Alright, just round take that tool, take a cut, that'll become our Z0. I'll just rotate that around slightly. Right. Chips down the chest. Oh, they're horrible things. Alright, I'll continue on with the roughing out of this, and we'll bring you back when we're getting close. I don't burn myself too much. Right. Wasn't taking long, we've got an absolute pile of swarf standing on here at the moment. There's a lot of material we've taken off. I've got another couple of running roughing passes to do, and then we're ready to start doing some finishing. Righto. Looks all our roughing done, so I might leave it in this setup, and we'll start doing the OD and cutting the bores out for our bearing cups. So I'll just get cleaned up here, and I'll let that cool off a little bit because that is really hot. I've been hammering that pretty hard, so we'll come back when we're ready to get started on those finishing cuts. Righto guys, back from having a cup with my lovely wife, and my youngest boy is off playing with mates today, so that's let me play in Manland all day today, which doesn't happen very often. All right, I'm going to go handheld here, we'll see how we go. Right, so we've got this basically all roughed out, and we're set up on this side here with the jaws. I'm going to finish this out next, so what I'm going to do first of all is bore out the 40mm. Then we'll do the bearing register for the cups, and then the seal register in after that. We can also then machine the OD down there. This OD is a toleranced OD. Where are we? Yeah, sorry. So here we go. Down here. So it's basically 71mm nominal. Now, you may remember that I got that terrible vibration on that gearbox housing where the compensating ring is, and I've actually taken that housing out just a tad more, and it's measuring up at 71.10. So I'm just going to go a 0.005 of a mil shy of that, so that it becomes a nice sliding fit onto that inner bore there. Is what we're going to aim for. The other thing I tend to do too is that where the bearings are going to seat up in here, I've measured them up and they're measuring 38mm at the minimum diameter, and I've made my bore 40. Now I like to make them such that I can get a small pin punch on that cup and take them out. If I was to make that bore any deeper or any smaller, to get those cups out, you've got to get in there with a stick weld and put a stick around it, and try and shrink the cup to try and get it out. So when I'm designing, I'll always try, particularly the small stuff, bit of a different story with the big stuff, but certainly the small stuff I'll try and give the fitter half a chance when he's disassembling stuff for us to change bearings there, half a chance of being able to get to them, and just use a pin punch to pop them out. Right, so we'll get back up into the lathe and we'll get set up for the for this final machining operation. Right, so we'll do that diameter 40mm bore first. We'll just see where that's actually sitting at the moment. Just with the calipers, just roughly 38.8. So we've got about 1.2, 0.6 off the radius. So we'll take about 0.5 off the radius. And then we'll remeasure. Swipe and see where that is actually sitting. Trying to work around this camera stand. Alright, let's have a look. I don't think you'll be able to see these numbers, but I'll just pull it up. Yeah. 6.5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 0.35 left to go. So, how about 0.17? As I said, this isn't a working diameter, it's not a critical diameter, it's only clearance for the shaft to go through. What do we say? 0.17. We'll see where that's sitting now. That's 40.03. As I said, it's just a clearance hole, not critical, but sometimes it's good to start getting a bit of a mindset right and ready when you start doing these tolerance fits. Even though they're non-critical, sometimes it's good to, as I said, just get your mindset and work to those tighter tolerances. Yeah, 0.03 up. All right, I'll shorten this boring bar up and we'll get ready for this internal bore for the cup. So I'll get that on the go, and then we'll come back when we're getting towards the finishing cuts on that, and we'll see how we're looking. Right, we've roughed this out. It's just lukewarm now. Just do a quick check on our diameter here. We should be within about 0.1 of a mil, or thereabouts. Measuring up at about 91. Let's do one more check on that. Yeah. Alright, that's 92. I'm happy with that. Still one more. We're going to have too much drag on that first one. Yeah, that's bang on 92. So I want to put around about a 0.01 to 0.02 mil interference onto that cup. So given that, to bring it back to 98, that'll give us 0.06 of a mil to take out, which is 0.03 on the radius. So I'll give that a lick. Before I do that, I'm just going to give this face a very light lick to zero that out, and then come down to depth, and then we'll face out. So I'll do all three operations in one go. Zero out that Z. Oh, that's much better. Right. Let's come down for the muddy shot. The money shot. So 0.03. Finish this out. Do anything yet. I think what I might do is just with that 0.01, just use a little bit of emery and just take some of the machine marks off, and I think that'll bring it back to the tolerance that I want. Right, I've got the seal border cut in next, so I'll do that. And what I may even do, the same as what I did on the on our little gearbox, is I'll just take a very light lick down to where that cup is going to start to be a press fit in, so we're not trying to press it all the way through. Gives a little bit of a chance. So I'll got that zeroed out. So we'll start on this seal bore now. I'm just going to go back to my Chicago Rawhide now, LCR catalogue, and just check on what the tolerance sets are, and I'll measure the actual seal that's going in there. And once again, this is a rubber back, so once again we've got to go with a bit of gut feel on this bloke. All right, we're back in a tick. Right, as in before, when we're putting these rubber back seals in, they're quite a lot oversized, or quite a bit oversized from their nominal dimensions. So this is measuring up at 52.15. So I'm going to bore this out to 52.08. So that'll give me a little bit of play on that. So at the moment I'm boring out to 52, or bang on 52. So we'll do that bore, then we'll do our finished size. how that feels. It's 0.02 over nominal. I reckon I might leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. I'll clean that up. The next job I've got to do is cut the chamfer on this, and that chamfer is to clear the worm shaft. This is coming up very, very close to that worm shaft on that body, so I've got to cut that back to give a bit of clearance on that shaft. Well, and also we'll finish these diameters here out and face it off to the length that's required. So we'll get set up for that now. And yep, I'm happy with that. I'll just give it a bit of a lick with some emery inside there, and we'll let that go. All right. Right, we're getting down towards the money end now, so $71.58. To go. 71.58. Now the target size is going to be 71.08. So exactly half a mil to go. That's 0.25 off the radius. Hi guys, we're back again. It's the day after, and the battery went flat on the camera, so we didn't see me finishing out all the diameters and cutting that 45 out for that clearance on the worm shaft. But it's all done on this side. We've got to flip it over. So we've got the that's going to be a tight fit in there. So we've got the seal thing up okay. Now I have bored down very, very lightly on this just for a short length, just to get that registered before it goes in. So what I'll do is I'll warm this housing up a touch just to open it up, but allow that to seat home. Right, and then the main one is the housing, so I'll just pop it up on the stand and we'll show you how that fits off. And this is the main housing fitting into place. Right, so that fits up beautifully. Fits up beautifully. So I'll turn it around, we'll reclock it up again, and we'll finish off the OD on this and the bearing boards inside. So we'll get set up to do that, and we'll be back soon.